Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Dropout Prevention webinar series we're hosting here at OSPI. Today we are going to be talking about, we're going to continue our last three-month session on the multi-tiered systems of support. This is the Tier 3, and we're going to focus on re-engagement today. Our agenda today is I'll give a brief introduction on multi-tiered systems of support and follow that with Laurie Shannon here, our graduation specialist at OSPI. We'll talk about open doors, youth re-engagement framework. Greg Eisnaugle from Tacoma Public Schools has graciously joined us to speak about how they are approaching re-engagement in Tacoma schools. They have multiple pathways for students to realize success. So the basics of the multi-tiered system support, in case you are unfamiliar with the concept, is it's the tiered support system. You might have seen this. I believe it originated from the Department of Health. But the idea is that your supports are framed around all, some, and few as to who they are reaching. It's the collection of programs, interventions, and resources that support students. And approaching this as a system rather than individual support ideally helps identify strengths, assets, gaps in needs, and continuous improvement process that reduces the need for more intensive interventions. Support provided by schools should address whole child needs, both academic and non-academic barriers. And while student-centered, the tiers should not define the students. They should just define their current level of need. So all, the big green triangle there, that would mean that those are supports and interventions that you have that all students are accessing all the time. You know, that's core instruction. If you have an early warning system, that's probably part of it. Your PLCs for your teachers, any of that support system that's going to help all of the students achieve in school. Some, which is Tier 2 supports, those are additional interventions that come, and they're sort of strategic. They're group supports to assist students that are showing at-risk behaviors, be it low attendance, poor grades, any sudden shift in any of those factors, behavior issues. And then Tier 3, which is what we're talking about today, is hopefully you have enough prevention and early intervention stuff in place that this will only be needed for a few students. And they're the more intensive stuff, such as re-engagement for the students that have really dropped off the radar, drug and alcohol support, mental health, behavior supports, those type of issues. So today we're focusing on Tier 3. I'm going to let Laurie take over and talk about our open doors framework that we have. Laurie?
Good morning. So I'm here to talk to you about the larger picture of the state's commitment to the last 20% who are not reaching graduation in our state. Some people have termed these students the opportunity youth because we have an opportunity to get them on a path to productive citizenry through education. And these are typically students who have disengaged from school. The initiative to address these last 20% actually began under the Building Bridges initiative, which was back in 2007 and 2009. And that group that came out of legislation created 3 large recommendations, and the recommendation number 3 was to create a dropout retrieval system for the 16 to 21-year-old youth who are not likely to return to high school. And then out of that work in 2010 came Senate House Bill 1418, and it established the permissions to use basic education allocation for dropout re-engagement in a very fundamentally different way than we have used basic education allocation in the past. And so the rules and the recommendations around that were to create an outcome-based model that would have case management mandated as part of the program, recognizing that these youth are going to need something different than what the traditional public school system. And when I use traditional public school system, I want to also include alternative schools, because most of these students have at some point actually already tried an alternative program in their district and were not successful there either. So they created this opportunity to establish a pathway for students to engage in school again. And the basic tenets of it are that that the money follows the student, and it's enhanced BEA at the running start rate, and that the fundamental difference in the outcomes is that it's performance-based and individualized with multiple indicators of academic progress, which can lead to outcomes other than a high school diploma, which is a huge shift in the thinking of what constitutes success for the K-12 system. And we are leading the nation in this. We are the only state in the nation that actually has a statewide system of re-engagement. And so a lot of attention at the national level is focused on what's happening here in Washington and looking at the outcomes for this. And so those indicators of academic performance and those outcomes can be quite a bit varied. The idea to continue thinking about how we were going to achieve this was to create a sort of a collective impact approach that would allow districts to partner with outside agencies and to have those partnerships create pathways that are unique for open door students, including GED attainment and then an on-ramp into the community college and post-secondary world. So certificates of proficiency in the workplace and certificates that you can be earned through a community college or technical college are considered appropriate outcomes for these youth, many of whom will not have the opportunity to actually earn a high school diploma before they age out of the system. So currently, we have, at the start of this school year, we had 66 school districts that were approved to operate an Open Doors program. 33 of them are in one of the 3 consortiums that are being organized through ESDs. ESD 113 here in the Thurston, Mason, Lewis, and Grays Harbor County area is the largest of those and is also one of the original Open Doors providers and is now in its 3rd year of providing services for school districts in their consortium. There are districts that have chosen to operate with an independent direct service provider. There are districts that offer multiple pathways, and we're going to hear a little bit later from Greg Eisnaugle in Tacoma, where they have 3 different approved pathways with 3 different sets of outcomes for the students. So they're really trying to focus the needs of their opportunities for these youth to be specifically tailored to where they're at with credit attainment and their goals for post-secondary outcome. There are districts that are running their own program exclusively. There are districts that are partnering with community-based organizations like Goodwill and Youth Source. And then there are districts that are partnering with community college. And there is currently in the works an effort to try and have a district partner with a community college that's currently running a high school 21 program and create a seamless pathway for youth in that community to who will not have an opportunity to earn a diploma before they age out of the system to then already be in the high school 21 system in their local community college. The statewide average monthly enrollments, you can see, has continued to grow. I believe our monthly enrollment this month was over 2,800. The outcomes you can see there are quite substantial, considering that these are all youth who were not engaged in anything. So the impressive over 12,000 college credits were earned by these young people. They earned credentials, they earned high school credits, and some of them earned diplomas in this past year. So pretty exciting to see some outcomes coming our way. A little bit more about the indicators of academic progress. That makes this program be really unique is recognizing, as I said before, the high school equivalency or GED test, making significant gain in math or reading skill levels as measured pre and post by a test, so that students are able to no longer be penalized for not having ever passed the sequencing, particularly in math, when they come in at below high school level. In the Open Doors program, they are encouraged and rewarded by making a significant gain in math and filling in whatever those learning gaps were for them. College readiness training, work readiness training, and work-based learning or job shadow experiences are all considered positive outcomes for the Open Doors student. There are transitions that are appropriate for these youth, including moving up through the ABE to the developmental ed sequence of courses in the community college system, and then actually moving into the college level system or moving through the ESL, English as a second language or English language learner sequence in the community college system. There are typically 6 levels of those classes in the community college system, and so when students make the transition from one level to the next, those are considered indicators of academic progress. And then, of course, progressively moving through more difficult math or English in actual college level courses, as well as completing college level courses. And it's very exciting to see that there are youth in our communities who have re-engaged and are doing this. So some of the challenges that are facing Open Doors, because it is a new program, and with all new programs we are experiencing some growing pains. We are in the process of updating our implementation guide and creating some best practices and professional development opportunities for those who are providing these services. There has been a tradition of a spring convening for the last 2 years, and we will have one this year here in the Tumwater area at ESD 113. The date has yet to be determined, but what it will be in sometime in June. We are continuing to refine the rules clarifications with both guidance for programs and changes in WAC. We did a WAC revision in the fall in September, and then we're in the process of doing another WAC revision. And there is the potential for some changes to the actual RCW, but we are in the process of gathering more data to validate the need for that, if in fact we do believe there is a need. We're also in the process of creating the evaluation and accountability rubrics. There is a statewide steering committee that is helping to guide the work of creating these Open Doors programs throughout the state. We are seeing continued interest in people wanting to add programs into their district or expand the pathways that exist already in their district. There is a process to go through for creating an Open Doors program in your district, and if you're interested in that, I would be happy to provide you some assistance. There is some guidelines on our website that at the GATE website that Rhett will redirect us to at the end of this. And then there's also some timelines that you should be aware of if you are interested in pursuing the idea of an Open Doors program for your district, and that is that July 1st, all the ducks have to be in a row to be granted a re-engagement school code or program code, which will then enable you to open a program in September. So we're looking at a target date of sometime between mid-May and mid-June to have everyone's paperwork into OSPI if you are interested in pursuing an Open Doors program in your district. And I think that about wraps up my presentation.
Who's eligible for the program?
So I think I missed, Red has prompted me to define more clearly who is eligible to be in Open Doors, who meets the criteria for re-engagement services, and that was earlier on, I know that the age was up there of 16 to 21, but these are also students who need to be significantly credit deficient, and there is a formula for that credit deficiency ratio depending on where they should be in school. And then there are some opportunities for outside partners and school district personnel to recommend a student into a re-engagement program based on their particular needs. And then they are waived in, but they do have to meet the threshold of 16 years old by September 1st of the year that they are going to be entering into an open doors program. And the idea behind that was that the legislature, in its wisdom, thought that in reality, all kids need to have a shot at a comprehensive education, and pretty much every district has some sort of alternative programming that needs to be tried before a student should be recommended for re-engagement. So that first 2 years is really committed to whatever services are already in place in your district for young people, and then if none of those are working, there is a process to allow a student who is not meeting the credit deficiency threshold to go into an open doors program. Do I ask if there's any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
So if there are any questions, I think this is the point where you get to type them in, and we'll try and address them.
I'm not seeing any coming in. Should we pass it along to
Greg? So if there's no questions coming in, and please do note that if you think of some questions afterwards, I would be happy to answer them, and my contact information is on the screen now, and Rhett will add it again at the end. And I can be also contacted through the GATE website. So we're going to turn this over to Greg Eisnaugle in Tacoma, and he's going to talk about how the Tacoma Public Schools is addressing the opportunity youth in their district.
And I just want to remind everybody that you are welcome to ask questions anytime. We can always interrupt our conversation to accommodate those questions. Greg, I'm passing it over to you.
Okay, this is Greg Eisnaugle here in Tacoma. Am I coming across loud and clear?
Yes.
Okay. So we have a unique situation in Tacoma that we have several locations or several different programs that fit the criteria, and everybody kind of got on board at the same time, so we were able to sort of consolidate what we do in 3 general areas in our. So we just kind of talk about 3 general pathways. And we can do that because we have such large numbers here of students and population in a small area, so it works to our advantage. We have the Reengagement Center. It's a 4,000 square foot building that was owned by the district, and they fixed it up for us. I have 5 classrooms here. And our focus is for students who want to complete their high school, get their high school diploma. A couple of keynotes here for that piece of it. We were able to work with our school board, and because the state has a minimum requirement of 20 credits to graduate as of right now, that we felt like that would be something that would be important for us to be able to access. So we have it actually amended in our board policy that students need 20, not 23 credits to graduate from the Reengagement Center. They do receive a regular Tacoma School District diploma when they get through it, and they do have to meet all the other requirements for testing and high school and beyond plan and that kind of thing. So that's something that's a nice piece to it for us. We also, although we could take students at 16 as of September 1, we only take students who are 17 because we really feel like we want to focus on the spirit of this law, which is to get kids who have already dropped out or are so significantly far behind that it just doesn't make sense for them to keep spinning their wheels and not being successful. So that's what we do here. The Tacoma Community College Fresh Start program was in place before. Several years has been in existence, but they formulated their program to meet the criteria to become a program for 14-18 open doors. So they have a high school completion. They have college campus that they're located on. I mean, the students can work towards an AA degree. So that's another option that our students can access. And because we don't focus on GED here at our building, because 6 blocks down is the Reach Center where the Goodwill is housed, and they provide a fantastic GED program. So I didn't feel like competing with them was the way to go. So that's the 3 different pathways that our students have in Tacoma. How do we get our referrals? They come to us from high school counselors, high school administrators will call about students. Another really big piece is the students that we have actually refer their other students to us. And we average around 200 students who are enrolled in our program. That number fluctuates, of course, knowing our population. Community agencies, people will call us from different places and say, hey, I've got this kid who is in a bad way, and we just need to have a different option there for him or her. So all sorts. I mean, we get calls from churches and just different organizations do referrals as well. And then the relationship that we have with TCC and Goodwill, we share students back and forth as far as, hey, this isn't working, can you try your program, or vice versa. So it's a nice piece to have. I know you can't read the flow chart, but I thought it was so beautiful I wanted to put it in there anyway. Basically, what it shows is the top circles, the referrals and how they get to us. And then what we request from our counselors in our buildings, in our high schools, in our comprehensives and alternative school, is to request that they come to us first, so then we can kind of talk to them about the options that are available to them, and then kind of process it through so they can go to one of the other programs if that's what they so desire. That being said, we also have an agreement amongst the 3 of us that it doesn't matter. If a kid shows up at your doorstep, then don't let them, walk away. Get them involved, have the conversation, see if they meet the criteria, and if they want to be in that program, then sign them up and let's run for it. So that's just kind of the flow chart that shows you the different pathways that are available to the students. So this is our re-engagement staffing. I have an English teacher, a math teacher, science, social studies. I have a special ed teacher. I have a case manager, and actually 3 case managers. There's one case manager who is a certified, and then I have 2 case managers who are classified staff. Office coordinator. I have an assistant principal here. I'm the principal of the program. That being said, actually my salary doesn't come from here. It comes from district, because I also oversee our Raymond Hall institutional ed piece and also our Tacoma virtual learning program, which is something just very different. But this breaks down how we're staffed in our building. Again, we average around 200 students a month, which supports that staffing. Our case management, the students are, because I have 3 case managers, they're constantly on the phone or talking with students, and we tried to divide it into 3 specific tiers, but the kids are getting way more than the minimum of what they're supposed to be getting. So no matter what issue a kid is having no matter what tier they're on, then those case managers are engaging them in conversations and trying to get them set with whatever. So for instance, a student came in actually to enroll yesterday. She came in, she's 18, she's newly homeless. We were able to set her up just as we're enrolling her, at the same time enrolling her with McKinney-Vento case managers on the phone, getting stuff set up, trying to find out if we could get her some emergency housing. Those are the kind of things that we have, that we really offer our kids, and got a great staff who makes that work. We have lunches delivered. They're sack lunches from the district. They provide, and we also have connections within the city as far as making sure that if students qualify for food stamps or welfare or anything like that, that we can work with those students. Clothing, we work with nonprofits, and even there's a group of longshoremen who actually put together a drive for food and clothing and a backpack program and raised $20,000 that they shared amongst the district. So on a regular basis, we'll have boxes and boxes of stuff donated to us. We work with the community health department, and then mental health, which is a big piece of what we have to deal with. Have to work with. We have a large special ed population that we work with, and also whatever comes through the door. So that's kind of what our case managers do, working in conjunction with our administrators. Our enrollment, we average here about 200, TCCs about 190, and Goodwill's about 35. Withdrawals, we see 10% in and out. I mean, I've had months where I only had 3 kids drop out, and then I've had months when I've had 30 kids drop out. And they come back again. They're usually out for a couple of months and then come back and beg, and we bring them back in and try again. And then you have those other numbers, TCC at 10 and Goodwill's around 5 or so. Outcomes. So far we've got, TCC's got 45 high school diplomas, we've got 32, and the Goodwill has about 32 GEDs, plus they've given other certificates, and there's been other test scores that I just don't have the numbers in front of me for. One of the things that I'm really proud of here is that, you know, some folks will have a preconceived notion of what our students are like, and that this is a tough place to be. And this is our 2nd year in operation, and we have not had one physical altercation in our building. We have not had anything stolen. I've got 90 laptops in our building. We have had nothing stolen from our building, and that includes kids swiping other kids' cell phones, that kind of thing. Hasn't happened here. So our kids are more serious. And that's one of the reasons that we focus really on the 17-year-olds and above, because I don't want this to become a place where people think they can come in and you know, get a couple of credits and get back on track and go back to their regular high school. I mean, there's other ways of doing that. That's not what this program is designed for. So that's kind of what we do. We have, we're in session from 9 to noon and from 1 to 4, 5 days a week. We also run night school from 5 to 8 on Tuesday and Thursday nights. Students are required to be here for at least 3 hours a day. That being said, our population really doesn't pay attention to that, and we're kind of stuck with not having much of a accountability piece to it. If I remove them from the program for not getting enough, I mean, there's the criteria that the state has established, but beyond that, if I remove them for not being here for a week or two, then I just have to go back out and pick them up and re-enroll them. So we just kind of work with our case managers and chat with family, spend a lot of time with family. We actually did parent night here this year, and we had a significant number of parents be involved in those counts and in that activity. So we were pretty excited to actually. I had no idea we'd have that kind of result from involving our parents, but it came to fruition. So we use a blended. Yeah.
One question is those diploma numbers. Those are just the number of diplomas. That's not a graduation rate or anything like that, right?
No, that's just pure numbers of diplomas handed out.
Great.
Yeah, and you know the thing about the way that we work it is that we have, like this morning right now, there's an orientation going on. So every 2 weeks we do an orientation, and kids are coming in at all you know, it's completely individualized. Kids are starting their program, and it could be in November, it could be in June, it could be in August. We run 12 months out of the year, and so we use Edgenuity, which is a blended learning model with our highly qualified teachers work in the classroom. They also do, all of my teachers do an hour-long, out of the 3 hours, an hour-long EOC or COE prep, because almost every one of these 200 kids needs to pass at least one test, and they're not prepared for it. So what we've been really focusing on this year is engaging them in small numbers to prepare them for the EOC or COE. So I don't know what else I could share with you. I could probably go on and on forever, but that would bore me, and I'm sure it would bore you as well. So if there's any other questions. Do you have questions?
I have a question. What kind of continuous improvement process do you have? A continuous improvement process? Are you on an individual basis for students, as well as on whether how each of these pathways is working for your student body?
So each program, according to the state, you have to test every 3 months to see the student growth. And so we go through every month and see, depending on when they came in to do their assessment piece, they meet with their case managers to go over where they're at, how much work they've completed, how much growth they've shown, and if they're moving forward in that sense. Fresh Start and Goodwill, of course, have their specific to their program, so they have a different assessment piece that they use to move the students forward. We're really kind of gauging on the amount of student growth they show through the assessments that we give them, and then also our graduation rate, such as it is, trying to figure out how to put real numbers to that. So this year we're going to work on, towards the end, just go through and see how many of our kids started throughout the year, where they're in their continuum, and then get some more numbers from there. I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. A question that we had here also was, do you know about how many of your students are coming in having completely disengaged, as opposed to just being referred in from the comprehensive school, like it wasn't working, and so they referred them into this program before they left the system completely?
Yeah, we keep track when the kids come in. I don't have those numbers with me. I do have them with me, but they're in a thick file, and I don't have the totaled up right now. But when we do an input, an enrollment, then we go ahead and keep the data on where they came from, how many tests they've passed as far as their state assessment, and whether they're transferring in or whether they've come from being a dropout. I don't honestly have that number off the top of my head. I'd be willing to get it back to you if that's okay.
That's fine.
So Greg, I have a question. You talked about, that Fresh Start and Goodwill were already existing programs that were within the boundaries of the Tacoma Public Schools, but then you also talked about that you are located in a 4,000 square foot building with 90 laptops. Can you talk a little bit about how the district made the decision to go ahead and fund this project, and what it took to get us this startup of a real building with for this population?
Sure. Well, I'm blessed to work in a district that loves to be innovative, and prior to being here, I was co-principal over at Lincoln, where we did the Lincoln Center, which was a program that ran 5 days a week, went from 7:30 in the morning till 5 o'clock in the afternoon with our students, and we made a lot of headway on closing the achievement gap and doing a lot of work over there. So our school board and our district office is always looking for opportunities to reach out to our students and create programs. They were initially going to run a program where it would not have been a brick and mortar one as much as it would have been one of these other companies that just gets kind of, I don't know how you describe them. Like out of Bethel, I think they've got a program that's just run by a company. I was kind of adamant about putting together a team of really passionate teachers that are here within the district and can reach out to this group of students and ex-students. There is no shortage of folks roaming around Tacoma who do not have a high school diploma, who fit the criteria. We have been so busy in our first 2 years at maxing out. We max out at 225, so whenever, and and when I say 225, that's the number that I would max out at according to my staffing. So if I could open up my doors on a couple more nights a week, if I felt like I could get more students in there, then I would do so. I think that the district spent probably about $100,000 in setting us up here in our building. I have 5 classrooms that are running, and the technology folks took care of the laptop. I have 90 laptops, but I also have desktops. I have one classroom that has 20 desktop computers. Smart boards, yeah, they really took care of us in setting us up, and so everything's, they're just looking for as many kids as we can get through and help out as we possibly can.
That helps. Do you have any barriers that you experienced in this process that you would like to share, and how you overcame them?
I think that the only barrier that I really had was in how, when we got started, was how we would be able to bring in our staff. So the district wanted us to have numbers of kids before I hired a teacher, and it was kind of hard to do that because I needed at least the skeletal staff in order to start. I told them it was kind of like opening a bakery and not hiring a baker until you have 30 people in line waiting to buy donuts. But after our first round of go-through with that, and then realizing that this was a real deal and that we could open with 75 kids within 2 weeks, that I think that surprised them, and then they realized what we were doing and that there are requirements as far as, hey, I've got to have a case manager, for 75 kids. We can't do it backwards and just do projections. So it took a little bit of conversation with HR and that kind of thing to get things rolling, but it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't that hard. It was pretty. They understood that situation. I think that our biggest frustration in moving forward is, I mean, it's a brand new process for everybody, and so no one necessarily has answers to some of the questions, and that's okay. Everyone's just kind of fumbling their way through it, and so that's just kind of what we're doing. I'm really happy with what we've been able to accomplish, but of course we're not satisfied. So we're constantly looking back on how can we get our kids more engaged. It's the attendance issue, which has been an issue for students since probably they were in kindergarten, and we're just trying to work through that. So that's been our issue. I guess the other thing to let you know, again, it works in Tacoma. It wouldn't at a place like Bethel where you have 215 square miles, but our kids we give them Orca passes, so they get public city transit here, and most of the kids take the bus because I think we're pretty much all qualify for free and reduced lunch. And there's 2 major bus lines that run right by our center here, so we've been really excited and happy about that.
Great.
Greg, when you were in that startup phase and you were trying to get that first 75 kids in the door, were you working off of an existing list from the district of students who had disengaged? How did you go about that initial recruitment? I totally get what you're saying about what happens now, but does Tacoma as a district have some kind of tracking system for their dropouts?
Yeah, they have a list, and the other thing is just running from the comprehensives. I can ask them for their 20-day drop list, and that gives us access to it. We did everything from contacting counselors at schools to, because I had been at Lincoln, I was able to kind of walk around and see a couple of kids I knew who I knew hadn't graduated and got them in the program, and actually those guys graduated, so that was a good thing. There's a list that comes out from the district that they send me, and then everyone else just kind of came through the door. So once word got out that we were in existence and we're a real program, then word of mouth really spread quickly.
And then with your students who have met that milestone of high school diploma and graduated, are you doing any kind of follow-up to see what kind of post-secondary outcomes they're engaging in?
We've asked them to stay in touch with us so we can track that. But I can tell you right off the bat, one of them moved to Florida before we even went and did the ceremony. I know that a couple of our kids have gone to the military or in a basic training. So we really don't have much of a way to track it except to just ask them to check in with us once a year to let us know where they're at.
I have a couple questions from people listening in. What curriculum do you use for your program?
We use Edgenuity, which is a computer-based program that you can go through and remove certain elements of, because it's really chock full of the standards for every state in the union. So basically you go through and pull out what you don't need and keep in what you do. And what we used as a guideline, and actually my English teacher, she's just a crackerjack, she just said this is so closely aligned with the Common Core that she's really confident that our kids are going to do well. So the curriculum that we're using is actually, I think it's more challenging than what they're getting in their comprehensives. And we hear that, the kids kind of go, whoa, because the misconception on the street would be like, hey, you just get in here and get a couple credits, it's easy and you can move on. But that's not the case. So our guideline is, and again, it's just a guideline within our curriculum, because you can go through and it'll tell you how long about a lesson should take. And so what we've said, if it's a credit retrieval class, it should be about 30 or 35 hours. If it is if it's a full class the student hasn't taken yet, then it should be, again, around 70, 75 hours in order to complete it. Now, some teachers will pull units out and then plug in a supplemental instead. And so then and the nice thing about Edgenuity is it prints out in real time how much work the student has done, and what percentage of that is correct. So we use that to do our progress monitoring as we move forward. And those are multiple measures of student growth throughout a 3-month period of time.
That's helpful. Another question is, how do you serve ELL students?
That's a really good question. We have not had, believe it or not, by the time most of our students get to us, if they were ELL, they've already received those services. I would be in touch with, if that does come up, again, it's interesting, it really hasn't, but if it does come up, then we just contact our district, and they would have to provide the support for that, just like they do with special ed. We have, we run about 20% special ed, and that's me kind of being able to say we really can't do much more than that because of staffing and how big our building is. But that's another issue that comes up a lot because there are a lot of students who are special ed who have dropped out of school.
Another one is, does your program integrate live chat rooms such as Illuminate, where students at home can log in to receive direct instruction from teachers?
We don't. Now, Edgenuity, the kids can access it 24/7. They can email the teachers. If the teacher is on at that point, they can answer questions. What we have found, because when we started out, we said, look, the kids need to be here 2 days a week for 3-hour sessions, and they need to do about 18 hours at home on the computer. What we found is almost no one will do the homework outside of here. So that's why we said we really need to have them in here. The reason that they have not been successful is, there's a plethora of reasons of why they've dropped out or haven't been successful, is gaining the credits that they needed to gain. But we know that if there's adults hovering about them and kind of egging them on and being supportive and providing whatever help and assistance that we can, that we're going to get a better result. Because again, it's that attendance issue that really hurts. So that's what we're doing. And no, Edgenuity doesn't have a chat perspective, with the exception like there's email built into Edgenuity. And it depends, like on the weekends and on over breaks, the teachers get on and make sure the kids are getting what they need to get.
Do you supply computers to students to use outside of the class?
Interesting you ask that, because a King 5 today is coming to our school, supposedly. So we have a computer repair class, and what we're in the process of doing, we haven't finished it yet, but we're in the process. I have 768 laptops that the district has given us that are older laptops, and so we're in the process of scrubbing them down and then updating the laptops. And once they're updated, then they're going to be given to students and family members. We get first dibs on them, but after that they go out to anyone within the city of Tacoma who wants to come and pick up a laptop, because right now they're not efficient enough to run stuff we want to do on them, so they're surplus. So yes, they will be getting computers. Currently they don't have one to take with them.
Great. And these computers, are they given out, or are they loaned for as long as the students need them?
They're going to be given, because I think that's what the process is where we're at. That part I'm leaving to legal, because there's all sorts of stuff with like what we can put on it, Microsoft and stuff. So there's a licensing fee that's being negotiated and all that kind of stuff. But my understanding is that they're going to be given away.
I think we're getting close to the end here. What are some of the next steps for your program? Are there student populations out there that you are looking to serve better than you are, or any other additional pathways you're looking to open or scale?
Yes, actually, we'll continue to work here and fine-tune our process. What we wanted to add here is on Tuesday and Thursday nights, there's a large percentage of kids who are out there who have met all of the credit requirements to graduate, but are just missing a test. And so as soon as I have 25 kids committed to coming twice a week during the evenings, then we're going to offer a COE class, and then have them take the test and then produce the COE at the end no matter what, so we'll have that support there. I'm working with a group of people looking at our homeless situation in Tacoma, and we're hoping to be in a partnership with several organizations, and we're looking at a possible combo deal with Open Doors and a housing facility for youth at risk. So that's what long-term goal is, somewhere in the south end of Tacoma.
Do you have any recommendations for somebody looking to start a program in their district?
Partnerships are key. It's like we worked with comprehensive mental health on having an anger management class. I think you just need a good team of people to sit around and talk about all the things that need to happen. So it could be the mental health piece, food, clothing, all the different people that you could pull in together to make it work, and to not lose faith, because this is a tough group of kids. And when I say that, I mean I love them, but as far as their ability to commit and follow through is pretty weak. And so it's about constantly going back to the well and saying, I'm not going to give up. Got to try it one more time and then make that a different way, or whatever we have to do. So once you get a group of committed people together that can make it work, then just keep asking questions. That's what we do. We don't have all the answers, that's for sure. So that's why I really appreciate going to different workshops and things in the state and outside the state to see what other people are doing, and to try to become better at what we do.
That's great. Thanks so much for presenting for us here today, Greg.
Sure.
I got to gush a little bit. Yesterday was one of our graduation and team effort meetings, and I got to spend some time talking with State Board of Community Technical Colleges and the Workforce Training Board, and talking about re-engagement in particular, and how we see these diploma numbers that you've got listed here, and that we need to not focus so much on in re-engagement on diplomas, but that trajectory of what skills can we give these kids so that they can have post-secondary success, and how can we measure that and understand that as a state, and to encourage programs like this that might get students at least on the path to eventually a diploma or a credential or a family wage job.
Right. Yep.
So,
well, thanks for having me here.
Thanks, Greg. And Laurie, do you have anything you'd like to talk about? Do you want to talk about anything about, a lot of our rural districts wouldn't have the student population that this kind of program would have. What can you imagine how they could?
So the consortium model, while it presents some challenges, does seem to be serving the rural and remote areas well for at least the ESD 113 region. That is probably they have 28 different districts participating in, and some of them are quite small and may not have any students in any particular month, but they know that they have that opportunity, and when they have a student that fits the requirements and has the motivation, then they are able to do that. And so they are currently running 4 different campuses, one in Grays Harbor, one in Lewis County, one in Mason County, and one here in Olympia to meet that need. Some of the other smaller districts that I have visited have gone to a private provider to at least give them some option for those students, and so those seem to be creating some opportunity for students to reengage through a virtual connection. But they are mandated to have case management and face-to-face time, and so they are also attending to that.
Great. Thanks, Laurie. As always, this webinar was recorded, and I'll have it uploaded to our YouTube page in the next week. You can find our previous webinars there, which include Tier 1 supports, Tier 2 supports of MTSS, dropout early warning intervention systems, effective data use, and our next 3 months that we're looking at will all focus on engagement. That's youth, staff, family, and community, and how we can engage all of those. In particular, on March, I believe we've got Ron Hertel and district administrator coming in to talk about engaging school staff and district staff and students around the topic of adverse childhood experiences and trauma-informed practices. I'll be sending out registration information on that in the next couple weeks. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me or Laurie or all of us at teameffort@k12.wa.us and visit our website, k12.wa.us/gate. Any other questions out there? Great. It looks like we got the gift of 3 minutes to you guys. Enjoy your day, and look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you.